Ethan Taylor had never planned to work on the frontier. A human security officer from Earth, he was used to protecting cargo ships, miners, and occasionally politicians. But when a high-paying contract came in to escort a VIP alien diplomat and her young daughter to a distant orbital station, he didn't hesitate. Money was money, and danger was part of the job. The ship he boarded, a sleek silver transport named Starwarder, was built for speed, not comfort. Its corridors were narrow, lined with alien designs that Ethan didn't understand. The diplomats he had to protect were from the Zerithian Empire, known for their intelligence and strict hierarchy. Their bright bioluminescent skin and elongated limbs gave them an alien elegance, but Ethan knew looks could not be trusted. The little girl, Lyra, clung to her mother's arm. She was small for her age, with curious golden eyes that seemed too mature for a child. Ethan noticed that she didn't speak much, only observing everything with silent interest. "Stay close," Ethan said, more to himself than to Lyra. He always said that. Humans liked caution. The Queen Seraphine ignored him, her glowing violet eyes scanning the ship's interior with sharp focus. The journey was supposed to be routine, but the frontier was never routine. A sudden alert rang through the ship. Ethan's stomach tightened. "Pirates," he muttered. The monitors flashed red. Dozens of small, fast raiders were closing in, weapons ready. The ship's alarm screamed warnings in multiple languages. "Captain, shields holding?" Ethan demanded. "Barely," replied the human pilot, a young woman with nerves of steel. "They want us for ransom." Or worse, Ethan's training kicked in. He moved quickly, positioning himself near the Queen and Lyra. "Stay behind me," he said to the girl. She nodded, her expression unreadable. The first raider ship slammed into Starwarder, shaking it violently. Panels sparked and alarms screamed even louder. Ethan grabbed Lyra just as a burst of laser fire ripped through the corridor. The girl screamed, and for the first time Ethan felt the sharp human fear that made his heart pound. He shielded her with his body, taking the brunt of the attack. Sparks flew around them, metal screamed under pressure, and Ethan felt a burn across his arm. But he didn't move Lyra. She was safe behind him. The Queen's guards were slow to react, moving with alien precision but not human speed. Ethan realized then that his training, his instincts, and his willingness to take risks were the edge humans had. He didn't hesitate, pushing Lyra behind a bulkhead while deflecting falling debris. The raiders broke through one of the outer hull doors. Ethan sprinted toward the breach. He had no weapons, just his fists, his courage, and his determination. He knocked one raider off balance, shoved another against a wall, and grabbed a small control panel to slam down on a third. Lyra's eyes widened. She had never seen a human move like this, fast, unpredictable, and fearless. Then came the worst moment. A raider aimed directly at Lyra. Time slowed for Ethan. He dove, pushing her out of the way just as the weapon discharged. The laser hit his shoulder instead, sending him sprawling. Pain shot through his body, but he gritted his teeth and shielded her again. "Ethan!" the Queen shouted, rushing forward. Her presence was commanding even in chaos. She was beautiful, dangerous, and impossibly alien. She had long, flowing limbs and skin that shimmered violet under the warning lights. But for all her power, she couldn't reach the girl in time. Only Ethan's quick thinking had saved Lyra. When the raiders finally retreated, Ethan sat on the floor, wounded but alive. Lyra clung to him, whispering something in Zerithian. The Queen knelt beside her daughter, her glowing eyes narrowing at Ethan. "You," she said, her voice calm but filled with authority, "saved my child." Ethan forced a tired smile. "Just did my job." "Do not speak lightly," the Queen replied. "The law of my people binds those who save a royal child. You will remain with her. Until I say otherwise, you are under my command." Ethan blinked. "Under your command?" "Yes," she said. "The law is clear. Any being who protects my child in life-threatening danger cannot leave her side. You will stay until the threat to her life passes, or until she reaches maturity." This is not a request, he swallowed hard. Humans prized freedom, but here he was, suddenly bound by alien law. A mix of fear, pride, and disbelief churned in him. Lyra looked up at him, her golden eyes curious, almost approving. "You will stay?" she asked softly. Ethan nodded, trying to hide the tension in his voice. "I guess. I don't have a choice." The Queen rose gracefully, scanning the ship. "We must repair the damage and continue. This world is dangerous. You will train her, protect her, and remain vigilant. Do you understand?" Yes, Ethan said, though he knew this was only the beginning. The rest of the journey was tense. The Starwater limped through space, shields weak, engines damaged. Ethan kept a careful watch, scanning every sensor for threats. He couldn't help but notice the way the Queen observed him. She was analyzing him constantly, her expression unreadable. Why, humans? She asked suddenly, breaking the silence. Her voice was calm but curious. Ethan shrugged. We adapt. We survive. We make mistakes, but we learn fast. And we care. That can be dangerous in the right or wrong circumstances. The Queen tilted her head, considering his words. Perhaps we shall see. As night, or the alien equivalent of night, fell over the gas giant they orbited, Ethan found himself sitting beside Lyra. She had curled up, exhausted but unharmed. You're brave, she said quietly. Faster than anyone I've ever seen. Ethan smiled faintly. Thanks, but bravery is just not running away when you have to face danger. She looked at him, studying his face. You're not like others. I know, he said with a wry smile. Humans tend to be unpredictable. For the first time since the attack, he felt a strange warmth, pride maybe, or relief. He had saved a life, and in doing so, he had stepped into something bigger than himself, a world of alien politics, power, and law that would keep him bound to a royal child. Ethan didn't know what lay ahead. The frontier was dangerous. Raiders could come again, alien factions could target Lyra, and he would be there in the center of it all, a human standing against threats far larger than himself. But one thing was certain. He would protect her. Because that was what humans did, and perhaps that was why the Queen's law had chosen him. The palace floated like a jewel above the swirling gas giant, its surface a mixture of organic curves and alien metalwork that shimmered under the planet's light. Ethan had never seen anything like it. The corridors were wide but hollow, echoing with soft hums from the life support systems. Strange symbols lined the walls, glowing faintly in violet and green. He walked beside Lyra, who held his hand tightly. She seemed smaller in the vast halls, but her golden eyes were alert, curious, and unafraid. Ethan found himself impressed by her courage. Most children of her age would hide behind a parent after what had happened. Not Lyra. The Queen, Seraphine, led them through the palace with elegance that was almost intimidating. Her long limbs moved gracefully, and her skin shimmered with a living light. Yet, for all her beauty and power, there was an edge of worry in her violet eyes. A mother's worry. You will remain with her, Seraphine said, her voice calm but commanding, echoing in the high ceilings. Human, understand this fully. This is not optional. The law of the Zerithian Empire binds you. You protect Lyra, and you obey her mother's instructions at all times. Yes, Your Majesty, Ethan replied. His voice was steady, but his mind raced. He had expected danger, but not legal imprisonment in an alien palace. The Queen paused, studying him. You have skills, speed, courage, judgment. These traits are rare among humans. Perhaps that is why you survived when others might not have. But survival alone is not enough. You must adapt to our customs, our ways. Ethan nodded. I'll do my best. Lyra tugged at his hand, whispering something in Zerithian. Ethan didn't understand her words, but her expression was serious. He knelt beside her. What is it? He asked. She pointed toward the palace guard, who observed them from a distance. They do not trust you, she said simply. Ethan smiled faintly. Trust is earned. And I'm okay with that. The first days in the palace were difficult. Humans were strange to the Zerithians, and humans' ways often clashed with alien etiquette. Ethan had to adjust. Bowing, speaking in proper Zerithian phrases, understanding subtle gestures, these were small tasks, but mistakes could be dangerous. He learned quickly, though. A human mind could adapt fast when survival depended on it. And Ethan knew survival didn't just mean protecting himself, it meant keeping Lyra alive. Lyra, for her part, was eager to learn. She had natural agility and intelligence beyond her years. Ethan began teaching her basic self-defense techniques, showing her how to use her speed, how to anticipate danger, and how to react when threatened. You must trust your instincts, Ethan told her one afternoon. guiding her through a simple exercise with a padded training dummy. Humans survive because we trust ourselves, even when others doubt us. Lyra nodded seriously. I will trust my instincts, she replied. Her voice was firm, confident. Ethan felt a flash of pride. But palace life was not all training. Court politics were dangerous. Every noble, advisor, and guard watched Ethan closely, some with curiosity, others with open suspicion. Who is this? Human? Whispered one court official to another, a slender Zerithian with green-tinged skin and long, curling fingers. He survived the raid. But why is he here, so close to the royal child? Perhaps the queen overestimates him, another replied. Humans are unpredictable. They can be reckless, or they can betray. Ethan heard nothing of this, but he felt their judgment. He ignored it. Humans had always faced distrust when in strange lands. It did not matter. What mattered was the child in front of him. One evening, the queen summoned him to a private chamber. The room was vast, lit with floating bioluminescent orbs. The walls seemed alive, pulsating softly with a faint rhythm. Seraphine stood by a wide window looking out over the gas giant below. You have done well protecting Lyra, she said. Yet this palace is not safe. Many among my council do not trust you. They question why a human holds her life in his hands. Do you understand the danger this poses? Yes, Ethan replied. But the threats outside are worse. If someone tries to harm Lyra, I will stop them. Seraphine studied him. Your courage is admirable, but courage alone is not enough. You must learn to navigate politics, to understand our ways, and to act when others hesitate. Humans are strong, yes. But here, strength is measured differently. By law, yes, but also by trust and influence. I'll learn, Ethan said simply. The queen nodded. Good. Lyra will need both your protection and guidance. She must be prepared for the world she will inherit. Over the next week, Ethan spent nearly all his time with Lyra. He taught her to move quickly, to think ahead, and to notice details others missed. They practiced in training halls that glowed faintly under artificial light. Lyra absorbed everything quickly, and Ethan realized she had a sharp mind. You understand fast, he said one afternoon, wiping sweat from his brow. Most children take weeks to grasp this. You're exceptional. Lyra's golden eyes shone. I learned from the best. She gave him a small smile, and Ethan felt a strange warmth. There was pride in her expression, yes, but also trust. Trust that he had earned. But danger was never far. One evening, as they trained in the halls, Ethan noticed shadows moving unnaturally. His instincts screamed. He grabbed Lyra and ducked behind a column. 2 palace guards passed by, whispering to each other. Their tone was not friendly. They do not approve of me, Ethan muttered. Lyra's hand tightened on his arm. Do not worry. I trust you. That night, Ethan stayed alert. The palace was quiet, but he did not sleep. He patrolled the corridors silently, observing the guards and staff. Human senses, instincts sharpened by years of survival, gave him an edge. He noticed small things, footsteps that lingered too long, glances that were too sharp, conversations whispered in corners. One guard approached him in the shadows. Human, he said, voice low. You overstep. You are here by law, yes, but do not forget your place. Some among the council wish you gone. Ethan's hand moved instinctively to his belt, ready to defend himself if needed. I do not forget, he said evenly. But you will not harm her. Or me. Understand? The guard hesitated, then bowed slightly. Understood. Ethan realized that even within the Queen's court danger existed, but he had always faced danger. He knew how to survive, how to act quickly, how to protect. That was his strength. That was why he had been chosen. By law, perhaps, but also by his human instincts. Days passed, and the bond between Ethan and Lyra grew. She learned quickly, trusted him implicitly, and even laughed at his small human jokes. Awkward, clumsy humor that humans use to break tension. The Queen watched them silently, sometimes showing subtle approval. "You have gained her trust," Seraphine said quietly to him one evening, her voice almost soft. "That is rare. Most humans fail to do so. You are different." Ethan shrugged. "I protect. That's what humans do. Doesn't matter what species you are." She studied him, her expression unreadable. "Perhaps your heart is stronger than your mind gives credit. Either way, Lyra will need both, and you provide one of them." As the days turned into weeks, the palace remained a mixture of beauty and tension. Every corner held secrets, every shadow a potential threat. But Ethan thrived in it. Humans were adaptable. Humans could think in ways others did not. And humans, when pushed, could act with courage that aliens could not predict. One afternoon, as the gas giant below shimmered in pale blue light, Lyra ran to him breathless. "Ethan, I saw someone in the council chambers whispering about me. They do not like you being here." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I know, and we will be careful. But no one will harm you, not if I can stop it." Lyra smiled faintly. "Good, then we are ready." Ethan looked at her, small and determined, and realized something important. The Queen's law had brought him here, but trust and courage would keep him here. Not obligation, not fear, choice. Humans always had a choice, and Ethan had chosen to protect her, and he would not stop. The frontier was dangerous. The palace held secrets, and enemies lurked everywhere. But for the first time, Ethan felt at home in this alien world, not because it welcomed him, but because he had a purpose. And that purpose was human, simple, and clear. Protect the child, because humans protected those they cared for, and humans survived.